If your entire career is built upon knowing which buttons to click in Meta Ads platforms and Google Ads platforms, I have a bad news for you. Because that portion of digital marketing is dead. Google Performance Max and Meta Advantage Plus campaigns are doing in seconds what used to take us hours. But here is the part that most people do not understand. While the manual work in digital marketing is dying, but the value of a real digital marketer has never been higher. Today, I'm going to show you why the shift is happening, where the shift is happening, why most digital marketers are panicking, and what are the 3 non-negotiable skills you need to have in 2026 if you don't want your career to collapse. The first part of our video is about the black box reality. For over a decade, complexity was rewarded. Manual bidding, granular targeting, alpha beta structures, and micro optimizations that used to make us feel smart. And now the platforms are clearly saying that give us the budgets, give us clean data, and you get out of the way. And this is the black box era. You do not control how these ad platforms work, but you control what data goes into these. If your only value to your client is I'm going to set up your campaigns and monitor your campaigns, the client is going to soon realize that these platforms will do it more efficient and for free. And this is one reason why agencies have already started losing retainers, and that's why the freelancers are fighting a price war. And the middle layer, the human API that used to be a bridge between the client and the ad platforms, that's the first layer that will be deleted pretty soon. With all this happening, this leads us to our second part. Why are marketers reacting in the wrong way? One of the biggest problems with most of the digital marketers is when they look at these automations within the ad platforms, they think, cool, less work for me. Less manual work? Yes, but that also means more thinking responsibility. It has already started. When the performance drops, the button pusher digital marketer has no answer for the client. And then they start guessing, and guessing is how agency accounts die. So what do we do in this situation? This leads us to our next part of the video, which is fundamentals are the only safety net now. A lot of people will not agree to me, but with all these automations and less manual work, actually fundamentals are getting more important, which is kind of counterintuitive from what we understand. You need to understand how auctions work. You still need to understand how attribution works. In this everything automated world, you need to understand how conversion tracking fires. How does it break? When does it lie? How does it lie? It's exactly like flying the modern airplanes. Yes, they have autopilot, but when something breaks, that's when they need a pilot. Because the autopilot cannot answer why something is wrong, why something is not working. That is when the humans are needed. And exactly the same way you need humans in digital marketing at this point only now. And that is when the button pushers freeze. So what do we do? Who has the answer? It is the strategist. Because the difference between a strategist and a button pusher at this moment is understanding the first principles and fundamental knowledge. If you want to be a successful digital marketer in 2026, your job is no more to control the platform. Your job is to direct the system, where platform is just part of the whole strategy or system. Asking better questions than the algorithm can. Defining success better than the default ROAS setting. Now that we are talking about automation, I want to take a minute and talk about my best recommendation about email automation tools, which is Omnisend. I've been using Omnisend for a while, and I recommend it to all my clients who are starting with email automation, and in a lot of cases, clients who want to upgrade to a better tool to make best use of email automation. And thanks to tons of automation and templates that are available to use within the platform. Omnisend also connects to all major e-commerce platforms with just a single button click. If you want to migrate to Omnisend, they have 24/7 migration support available. And if you qualify for a customer success manager, then you can enjoy personal onboarding as well as dedicated support. You also get access to helpful blogs, webinars, strategies, and case studies to make you an expert in email automation. And thanks to Omnisend, if you register using the link in the description below, you will get a complete free trial until you have 250 paying customers. And you'll also get 30% discount for the first 3 months if you decide to go ahead with a paid plan. So back to our video. You need to understand the business of your client and tell them, we cannot look at ROAS. We cannot say whether a creative or campaign is doing good or bad just because of ROAS. We need to consider the clients. What do they do after they do first purchase? Do they buy more? Do they refer others? We need to understand all of this. We need to know how to feed the clean signals to the platform so they can do their job better. So with all these skills and traits, you will become a successful digital marketer because you won't have to fight automation. You will just weaponize it. Think of it like You have to basically ensure that the automations work more efficiently because of you. At this point, you'll be like, yes, we understand that, but this is so generic. What do we do? Let me tell you, there are 3 skills basically you have to master. These aren't even actually skills. These are the pillars. And the thing about these trinity is you miss one and you become replaceable. The first one, the skill of performance creative. In 2026, we will continue to see that creative is the new targeting. So like before, we used to understand, okay, lookalike audiences, and I can create this kind of funnel, this kind of audiences. Now you need to understand, for every business, the first thing you should be able to understand is who their audience is, how do I separate them in buckets, and what creative do I create for each of these buckets. And like we used to worry before about how do I reach out to my niche audiences, now you have to worry about how do I hook the attention with the creative. That's, as a performance marketer, that's unfortunately that has come into our bucket. The second pillar, you need to make sure that you understand data end to end for a client. So gone are the days when we just used to look until clicks. Gone are the days then we were like, okay, let's see analytics. Okay, let's see post-click behavior. Now you need to understand for customer lifetime what the data points are, how do they interact. So our scope has broadened. And once you understand all this data for a particular client, and you understand until when do I need to understand this data, that is when you will feed the right data and avoid the automations to basically go into this loop which will end in failures. You will know exactly understand what kind of data to push into these platforms, and how do I make sure that the tracking is in place and it's not feeding any wrong data. The attribution is in place specific to this client and it's not feeding wrong data signals to the platforms. Which kind of leads us to the third pillar, which is the business architect. You have to, the first thing I look at now if I'm hiring someone for the agency is what kind of business acumen they have. I don't care whether they understand an ad platform or not. To be honest, that can be learned within a month. I basically look at if the person can think like the business owner, how he thinks about profits, how he thinks about business, contribution margin, customer lifetime value, cost per acquisition margins. As an agency or freelancer, you just have to exactly work like a partner to any business or client. Digital marketing is not ending with these automations and algorithms, but the easy version that we saw as digital marketers, just looking at the platforms and understanding some technical things here and there, that easy version of digital marketing is gone. Doing these optimizations here and there and wait for your leverage to diminish and become replaceable, or you start thinking as these growth partner of your clients, and then there is probably future for all of us in that way. Let the algorithm do the labor and you focus on thinking and mapping media with business. And by the way, we have launched our membership suite, which gives you access to all our courses and digital products. If you're someone who wants to understand what fundamentals I was talking about, click on the link below, check out some free preview course lessons, and that's all for this video. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.